Hello people, so here I'll be giving you a short tutorial actually for your camera, your DSLR. So let's say you got your DSLR ready and you've first bought your flash, and the first flash you buy is probably those without automatic sync together with your camera. So in this tutorial I'll show you how to set up even though it's manually. Okay, so let's load until the flash is ready. So here's the first thing. Okay, for your camera setting, it's pretty much very simple. If you're always using program mode and so on, don't use it. Click to manual mode. Shutter speed is about, I don't think you can see this, but then shutter speed is about 200th of a second, ISO 800, aperture the lowest possible, so it can be anywhere. Set it up to the lowest possible. Okay, so that's the camera itself. Now for the flash. The flash, yeah, obviously manual mode. Now the power level is set to the lowest, and I'll teach you. Actually, not really teach you, just show you how can you change it. Like when do you know where to change your power level? Okay, so very cool. So I have my object right here. Let's say I have this bottle, and I put it, and I'm putting it my object. Oh no. Let's say my object is this one, softer, right here. Okay. Now let's say my camera is right here. Now this distance from the flash to the object right here is about 30 centimeters or so. So that is when I'm using the first flash, the first power, and I'm using a diffuser as well. No bounce or so on, just a normal flash. So let's take the picture. You know, it's pretty exposed and so on. Let's try to use the. Let's see if there's any difference. I don't know. Alright, so there isn't that much difference. Well, this is less than 30. That's why the picture looks a bit more overexposed. So that means it's either I have to move the object away or move my camera away. So this is about 30, since it's nicely exposed and so on. Now moving up to the next power level, this means that you need to step back 30 centimeters more in order to take that picture. Okay, so yeah, this sucks, but it's okay. So let's say I choose my object. You see that little bear right there, which is I blocked it. So this little bear right here. Now, if I'm standing right here, the distance is actually 30 centimeters about. So if I take the picture, it's pretty much normally exposed. But what happens if I'm using the next power? I have to step back and maybe get out of the room, because this is about 50 or 60. So let's take a picture. So it's the same exposed picture right there. But you're standing just 30 centimeters backwards, okay? Now what happens if you're using a bounce flash? I have to move it back again. Alright, so your object is right here. Now what happens if you're using a bounce flash? Bounce off ceiling or bounce off anywhere. Let's say your distance between that is say 30 centimeters. If you're using a normal flash right there, it's gonna be the first power, and when you shoot it, it's pretty nice exposed. But if you're using a bounce flash, you need to bump it up 2 times, so +2. So now I'm using a the third power, and I'm shooting 30 meters away. So now this is pretty nicely exposed. what happens if I only use one when I'm using bounce flash? Now this picture is pretty underexposed already. You can compare it between those two if you're using your flash by yourself. If you're bouncing off the wall, which is close to you, it's the same thing. Just the same +2. But just test it out yourself, because my flash and your flash might be different. So just give it a test. And yeah, basically that's all. So hope you learned something.